Growing up, I did not have much Jewish education at all. I did not have the opportunity to go to Jewish day school, even though my parents are Jewish and I have many Jewish relatives who are all Jewish. It was just not of the focus of our family.
My father always saw himself as a Jewish man, but he was not an Orthodox Jew, but he was a Jewish man.
Most Jews mistakenly think that we don't believe anything happens after you die. That's Christian, but it's Jewish.
Anyone who is in mourning, I feel that it would be important for them to know and understand the healing aspect of the prayers and this organization that has helped me through this difficult time.
Of all the misconceptions that Jews have about their own religion, I have to say that in my experience, the lack of knowledge when it comes to the Jewish concepts of death, mourning, and the afterlife are huge.
When someone passes away, you can maintain a spiritual relationship, and it can be a two-way street. And that can sound very strange in our high-tech, internet, technological world.
My eternity will be impacted by my choices here. But what about my loved ones who have passed on? Do my choices impact them? Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
It was right around my husband's first yahrzeit, and I had seen an ad in the B'nai B'rith Journal, and the ad was Jewish Death and Mourning.
And I picked up the phone and I called, and I thought, what is this? I had never heard of such a thing. And the person who answered the phone at the organization was intrigued by my call and started to teach me about it, what Mishnah was, and why we do these things for our departed loved ones, people who've passed away. I learned that when someone passed away, there's a whole set of rituals that are done, from obviously having a Jewish burial, then sitting Shiva. But what this organization does is that if you don't know, if you weren't brought up with the education on how to say certain prayers, this organization, Jewish Death and Mourning, they can say a prayer called Kaddish.
When you say Kaddish in somebody's memory, when you give money to sponsor learning in their memory, when you dedicate a book in their memory, when you take on a mitzvah and you say, I'm doing this in the merit of my loved one, it's not just a nice thing to do here, you are literally affecting their eternity.
Every time Kaddish is said, it's a step up to heaven for the departed. And my husband was a professional dancer, so I see him dancing up the stairs. And so for every Kaddish that's said, I could see him moving up the stairway, dancing up the stairway.
Sometimes people make decisions just out of lack of information or lack of awareness or lack of wanting to burden some people. And so my uncle had not chosen a Jewish burial. He had thought cremation because that's what everybody does. I was very distraught and upset, and I called my cousins, and of course they're upset. I mean, they've just lost their father. I couldn't be an overbearing cousin and demand certain things, but I empathized with them, and I talked to them, and I said, you know, it's so important to do a Jewish burial. It's so important to give honor and respect to the body and to his soul. And he was such an amazing person and such an amazing father to you. He was so kind and so strong. And let me help you. Let me help you through this process. My uncle was brought to a crematorium, and I called this organization Jewish Death and Mourning, and I said, please start Mishnah study immediately for his soul, because here he is, he's laying in a crematorium, his children don't know what to do, and you have to do Mishnah study for his soul.
While my dad was laying in the refrigerator in the mortuary, I was sleeping one night and I saw him, like it was clearer than a dream. He was standing there and he was going like this. He was like, no more. He was telling me, I don't want to be here anymore. It was 14 days that he was in that mortuary before Robin, bless her heart, came to us and with help for the proper burial.
My cousin Valerie felt in her heart, even though she like me had no Jewish education about the importance of a burial and Shiva and these prayers, she knew in her heart. She knew that this was the wrong thing to do. When she told me that her father came to her in a dream and said, "Don't cremate me," and it was on Tuesday, this night, the same day that I set up the Mishnah with Jewish death and mourning, I mean, I always believed in it, but it was confirmation to me that there is another world out there and we have to do these rituals that were given to us.
I did have a dream about my father, and he came to me in the middle of the night, and he said to me, "Thank you for burying me as a Jew. I feel at peace and at home. I'm in the homeland. And when I was in Israel, I saw him everywhere. I felt him. I could smell him. And he just needed to tell me that. And now I know he's at peace."
How did I meet Rochelle? Well, I run something called the Jewish Women's Renaissance Project, which has created like a birthright for mothers. And we bring about 1,000 women a year to Israel, and one of the groups was from Denver.
Every year I have a tennis tournament to raise money for either cancer, MS, and this last year I had this beautiful trip to Israel, and on my way home from Israel I decided it would be nice to do a fundraiser for Jewish death and mourning, as my father had passed in March. And I wanted to do something to honor him as a Jewish man.
She wanted to create an event to raise money and awareness so that people could have a proper Jewish burial. And she wanted me to come to Denver to speak to her family and friends. And they were having a tennis tournament to raise money, and they wanted to elevate the experience by having a talk about this.
We just really have to take the time to stop and listen and learn about these important things and share it with our family and share it with our children. Having another organization out there that can help you do this for you, if you're not in a position to be able to do it, is really helpful.
Being able to have the prayers said on a regular basis, being able to call and know that it's all taken care of, makes me feel very good.
The soul in the next world does have awareness. When their loved ones, when people who've come after them are making changes, positive changes in their life, in their memory, they know it's happening. Why? Because they're moving up. They're basking in God's glory.
I feel that I was very fortunate to have come across this article at just the right time, and how important it was to have the prayers said for my beloved husband. The support system that I've had from Jewish Death and Mourning has been very meaningful to me.